I've got to be honest, this COTA fallout got weird fast, because while the internet was busy turning Tyler Reddick's third straight win into a full-blown cheating argument, Dale Earnhardt Jr. stepped in with one of the most revealing reactions yet, and then casually dropped his own big racing announcement on top of it. So in this video, we're breaking down the full Dale Jr. angle from every side of this story, his big surprise for his fans, his very blunt take on why NASCAR actually needs somebody like Carson Hocevar, and his reaction to Tyler Reddick's historic win, which eventually caused a big cheating controversy among fans. And the reason all of this matters right now is simple. COTA didn't just create a winner, it created a storm around the sport. Because after Reddick won at Circuit of the Americas, the first thing a lot of fans talked about was not the drive itself, it was the conspiracy chatter. Suddenly people online were connecting 23XI's lawsuit settlement with NASCAR to Reddick's hot start, and some of the comments got ridiculous in a hurry. One post flat out asked, "Was this part of the settlement agreement with 23XI and NASCAR? Boring." Another said, 23CI is clearly cheating and NASCAR is allowing it. Tyler Reddick is not that good of a driver. Something definitely happened with the lawsuit. Another read, "Settle the lawsuit." Bam. 3 wins in the first 3 races of the 2026 NASCAR season. I'm sure it's just coincidence. And another went even further. It is obvious this is part of the settlement. There is no way in this day and age of engineering any one driver has this type of advantage over 3 races. That was the mood hanging over the sport coming out of COTA, whether people wanted to admit it or not. And that's what makes Dale Jr.'s week so interesting. First, the announcement that kind of got buried under all the noise. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going back racing in April. Not in a cup car, not in some made-for-TV cameo, but back in competition. On his podcast, he revealed, "I'm racing at Nashville Fairgrounds April 11th. I'm driving the Bass Pro Shops car at the fairgrounds. Yep, for the Cars Tour. I'm going to do a tire test here in a couple days, so I'll have a better idea of how fast it is." What makes that announcement hit harder is the timing. He didn't make that return to racing announcement in some quiet week where nothing else was happening. He made it right as NASCAR was dealing with the aftermath of COTA, the Reddick three-peat, the 2311 debate, and the usual flood of overreaction that comes with any historic run. So while some fans were obsessing over conspiracy theories, Dale Jr. was basically reminding everyone that he is still deeply plugged into the sport from every angle. Owner, media voice, historian, and yes, still a racer. And if that wasn't enough, the very next part of Dale Jr.'s recent comments may be even more revealing, because it tells you exactly how he views controversy in modern NASCAR. Dale Jr. made it crystal clear that he does not want Carson Hocevar to turn into a safer, quieter, more polished version of himself. In fact, he said the exact opposite. He said, "I don't want him to change. I don't want Hocevar to change." And then he explained why in a way that cuts right to the center of what NASCAR has always been fighting over. Entertainment versus comfort. Jr. said, "I want our cars. I want to win every race we enter. I do. I want JRM to win every damn race they enter. And I want all our guys to finish first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Above all that, I want this sport to be bigger than any other sport. I want it to be watched by tens of millions of people every week. And that's where we need Hocevar. We need people like Hocevar. We need people like Connor Zilisch. We need people like Denny Hamlin. We need all these very great, awesome, different personalities. And we need to be celebrating that." That is a massive statement, because Dale Jr. is not just defending one driver there, he's defending chaos, edge, and personality as part of the product. And he didn't stop there. He even admitted that when he and others are publicly critical of Hocevar, he still reaches out privately. Jr. said, "I have to text Carson all the time. I text Hocevar and I say, 'Hey, we're going to be critical. We're going to talk about you. Your job is to buckle up and race and do your best. The noise is going to be noisy. It's when they're not talking about you that you need to be worried. If you're invisible out there, if nobody's worried about you, concerned about you, pulling for you, caring about your performance, then you're in trouble." That is classic Dale Jr. Part mentor, part promoter, part realist. He's basically saying, if the garage hates you and the fans can't stop talking about you, you matter. That brings us to Reddick and Dale Jr.'s reaction to what happened after COTA. Jr. was very clear. The achievement itself is real. It is historic and it matters. On the Dale Jr. download, he said, "Tyler Reddick has started the season 3 wins in a row. No one's ever done that. He was pretty good at COTA. He's run really good there in the past, so it wasn't like a big shock, but he did beat the guy that's won all the road course races here lately. This shows that there is no cheating chatter among the people who are much closer to the sport than fans. Dale Jr.'s comments specifically point out that this wasn't just win number 3 in a vacuum, or some inside help. It came against Shane Van Gisbergen, the guy who has been the road course measuring stick lately. So all this talk about the cheating controversy is nothing but blatant speculation. Then Jr. turned to the part that really has the garage nervous, the standings. And honestly, this is where the conversation gets scary for everybody not driving the 45. Jr. said, barring any kind of massive collapse, he got like what, a 70-point lead? I will say that my man Tyler Reddick has a lock on being in the top 3. That's not a little compliment. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr. looking at the season after just 3 races and saying the guy may have already boxed himself into an elite regular season position. He followed it up with even more context. He's 86 points above Ryan Blaney, who's in 4th. Barring a collapse, that should do it. Who's to say he won't win another race or 2 to sort of help himself sustain that gap? That is the kind of number that changes how an entire season feels. Reddick isn't just surviving week to week. He's making the rest of the field chase from a long way back. And Jr. made another point that I think got overlooked, but it was one of the sharpest things he said. He basically pointed out that the usual monsters in the championship fight are not where they usually are. In his words, the heavy hitters, they ain't there. That's huge, because it means Reddick is not only building a lead, he's building it before the usual threats have fully stabilized. If those guys eventually wake up, they're still waking up already behind, which is exactly why Dale Jr.'s comments lined up so closely with what Denny Hamlin has been saying. Because Denny's bold take was that Reddick already looks like a top 3 lock in points, and Dale Jr.